Good afternoon. Here we continue No Naked Walls, which is the trilogy from So You Want to Own an Art Gallery, Where's Your Gallery Now, and Now You're the Artist, Deal With It. And this particular chapter actually is in homage to the man who painted the front cover, although his name's changed for this story, but I know he likes it. So, Flint, you know who you are? Actually, it's Glenn Badham. This chapter's called Sultry Red, Chapter 13. There are two things that go well together, dance and painting. They equal paintings of dance, especially if it's the tango. There is something so sensuous about this style of movement. And as an artist friend of mine says, it's like making love on the dance floor without actually having sex. Flint is an artist who enjoys dance as inspiration. His bold, bright paintings are full of life and movement, loads of colour and flair. I'm pleased to sell his work, and they're great value too. I originally met Flint via a ceramic artist in the area, and having seen two small pictures in the catalogue, contacted them to say I'd love to sell his work. He's an outwardly shy chap, well dressed for an artist, and has great deportment. You could say he almost glides into the gallery, even with his arms full of freshly painted canvases. He appears with 6 paintings at a time, and usually within a week they all sell. Easy work, easy money. He's a particularly good-looking chap as well. Sharp, chiselled features, broad shoulders, and an excellent mover on the dance floor. So I'm told. I'm sure most women find him attractive, but I'm not sure he sees it himself, as he's always quiet, polite, and gracious. He has the loveliest of parents, who also occasionally call by to see how their son is doing. I find this endearing. Life in the gallery isn't always about the bottom line, and seeing their smiles on Flint's work hanging on the walls makes me feel good. Funnily enough, Belinda never had a day off if Flint is coming in. Julian, on the other hand, feigns indifference, which I think is most amusing. He actively arranges his days off to avoid Flint. I think he thinks if you can't convert them, then leave them well alone. With one such visit pending, I suggest to Flint some venues for sketching that might produce some dynamic canvases. We can start off in a jazz bar, catching the atmosphere, possibly having a few beverages along the way, and then off to a live venue or a nightclub. Flint says it's a good idea, and agrees with his partner that he can stay over at my place. His wife-to-be is a formidable woman. I am not saying anything else. Flint has a remarkable ability to capture atmosphere with just a few well-placed lines. At the club, sketchbook in hand, he takes up a position on the balcony, oblivious of everyone around him. Strangely, the area fills up with women in various lengths of skirts and styles of clothing, or lack of. He has an immediate following. All the females are all wanting to see what he does. So here's some advice for young aspiring bucks. If you want to pull in a club, you have to look innocent and be able to draw. You'll have to pick up the entire place. Flint doesn't speak to a soul. That's my role and my very real pleasure. And we have several bottles of wine, as evidenced by the debris of empties and glasses around us, before a tall, long-legged blonde in the tightest white dress strolls in front of Flint. She just says, "Paint me." He looks up, lowers his pencil, and says in a quiet but positive manner, "I never paint nudes in public." What a line! What a delivery! I'm not surprised his girlfriend is a little protective as to where her beau ends up. She shouldn't worry, though. Flint is the epitome of a faithful man, even if many of the women around him don't want him to be. It turns out to be a very successful night. We both achieve a satisfactory level of inebriation, and Flint has a sketchbook full of ideas, as well as a few telephone numbers written in lipstick on his pad. We take a taxi ride home, and he can't stop discussing what we've seen during the night. It's a case of, once he starts talking, he can't stop. Several weeks later, Flint comes back with the night's work transported into the obligatory 6 paintings, but also a wonderful watercolour sketch. He's managed, without superfluous detail, to record the brass section of a funk band glistening in the stage lights, and in another a couple are embraced in conversation at the bar. You can almost hear what they're saying in the picture. The other images are dance floor paintings, dance floor pieces, vibrant in their use of colour. And the last piece, the sketch, is a revealing study of the tall blonde, wearing very little against the blurred background. How did he do that? I swear to God that man has X-ray vision. Flint's a success story in the making, and I'm very happy to be part of it. The next chapter is called Clear Glass. Is glass a liquid or a solid? Or both? At different stages of its creation, it has colour taken from the chemical content. Imagine 1250 degrees of pure fire in a furnace. It's damned hot. We're talking burning gas and blinding white lights accompanying the compelling smell of an industrial process. Now, if you add a tall, long, dark-haired, incredibly good-looking female glassmaker to the mix, and you get something even hotter and more dangerous. This particular glassmaker, Sarah, wears a dark blue boiler suit reminiscent of Belinda's alternative apparel. And after getting soaked in the rain, and quite frankly, it had a very similar effect. The expression is horses sweat, men perspire, and women glow. This lady is glowing with a vengeance. How can someone be so sexy while beads, nay rivers of perspiration pour down her face onto a boiler suit, vanishing down her cleavage to visit places that only the mind can see? She dips her metal blowpipe into the gather, collecting red, glowing molten glass, and placing the end of the pipe to her lips, she gently blows into it. Slowly the glass expands, changing colour as it cools. Then, when she's measured the size of the glass, she begins to spin it, expertly turning the pipe, using all metal dividers to gently force the glass to open out and blossom, morphing into a full, flat disc. It grows and grows, and eventually, when she's satisfied, she inverts the whole show and hits the base of the pipe, releasing the glass onto a metal tray full of paper and sand. As simple as that. Rest assured, though, every moment has been honed and perfected. There's no room for error, lest the whole lot ends up shattered into 1,000 pieces and she has to start again. Sarah is a pleasure to watch, and certainly makes glass buying even more attractive than one has any right to expect. Fancy a cuppa? I'm part, she says, not surprising that. Tommy, do you get many buyers watching you in action? I try not to, she says, flicking her hair back over her shoulder. She sees that I've noticed. It starts out all tied up and tied back, but somehow it just never stays. Dangerous isn't the word at these high temperatures. Anyway, I'm not too fond of letting people see me sweat buckets. It's embarrassing having my clothes end up soaking wet. I'd like to make a video of her working. I don't tell her that, though. Let's talk glass. It's all about the relationship between the colours and the properties of the glass. Some glass melts at different temperatures, and if you don't get it right, bang, it explodes. And if it's cold and the wind blows through the factory, it can also ruin the finished pieces. She sighs, collecting her thoughts. Sometimes I feel it's all too much and I should do something else. It's like a battle of heat and bloody-mindedness to finish a piece, and it doesn't stop there. If as much as a little air bubble gets stuck inside, then it cools out. That too can cause an explosion, and there's another hour's worth of pain wasted. Nobody realises how much work and effort goes into making glass pieces. She walks over to her trusted friend, an old black metal kettle, and clicks the on switch. Sitting down, her outfit parts, exposing her torso from neck to stomach. I'm not complaining. I've opened a new gallery now, and I'd like to support local artists as much as possible, I say, pulling up a crate to sit on. News travels fast, you know. I've already heard, she says. And the conversations turn to partners and dogs. Her not, mine. It's too hot at home, and I have to bring him to the studio. So everyone in the industrial part takes turns to walk him and keep him happy. It's better than having him tied up. We're talking the dog, not your boyfriend, I ask, tongue-in-cheek. She ignores my stupidity. Let me show you something that I've never ever shown anyone till now. You could be the first to show it in your gallery if you like. I always like a first. But I thought today's adventure into the world of hot glass making by a hot glass maker couldn't get any better. Then she leans down and reaches into a tall cardboard box, pulling out a wrapped object. It's long and black, and with a silver edge. It's a vase, matte black glass with a rolled silver leaf edge. Never seen anything like it, I say. Anything else? Yes, and she pulls out a smaller piece, also masked in tissue paper. It looks very oriental, and I know it'll work really well in the gallery. This time it's a small matte black bowl, again with silver dripping round the edge. These cost twice as much as the other pieces. It's so hard to make the silver stick to the glass, you see. I think they're superb, different and very sensuous. And I want that piece you've just made too, because I was sitting here watching you do it. I don't queer my pitch by telling her that looking at the pieces in the gallery will always remind me of the maker. And why not? There's so much ugliness in the world, and a little beauty goes a long way towards happiness. Sarah says that she's had enough for the day, and so I ask if she fancies a drink at the pub a few doors down. Smiling, she agrees. Back in a minute, she says, and vanishes behind an old wooden door. 2 minutes later, a totally changed person emerges. Her hair's loose, her sloppy sweatshirt just happens to fit in all the right places, and it's accompanied by the tightest pair of jeans I've ever seen. Let's go, she says, turning off all the power and closing the battered old door. She slams a large bolt across and secures it with a rusty padlock. Beer o'clock. She's smiling again. Did you enjoy watching today? Honestly, I said, raising my eyebrows. You're the hottest glassmaker I've ever seen. Well, that's easy, she mocks. You've never seen a woman sweat before. Well, not often in a factory, and especially not in the middle of the day. We wheel into the pub and straight to the bar. What can I get you then? Pint of bitter, please, she says. The barman looks at me, then at Sarah, nodding his head in my direction. New one, is he? 2 pints of bitter, please, thank you. I'm repeating myself. Sarah laughs out loud. He always does that. Fancies the socks off me. Doesn't stand a chance. Do you always bring your conquest here to cool off? Certainly looks that way, she says. Her eyes sparkle. Then she downs an entire pint in one go. Same again. Then, how old are you? Why do you want to know? Well, I like to guess men's ages. Most of you are still boys, and your age is irrelevant. And if you want a toy boy, you know what to expect. But if you want a man with experience who knows how to treat a woman properly, then you need to ask. The truth is, I get so horny in my studio, and Bob's on the way out. He's just not up to what I want or need right now. I take it Bob's the boyfriend, not your dog. Not for much longer, she says. Don't think I should be telling you any of this. It's not very professional, is it? But I have to tell someone. She stops speaking and then looks directly into my eyes and asks, do you mind if I have another beer? Not at all, I say. She's consumed, nay guzzled, 2 pints on an empty stomach and wants a third while I'm still on my first. He doesn't want to sleep with me. Do you think I'm the sort of woman who doesn't want sex? I mean, look at me. Well, I can only agree with her. You're a seriously sexy woman, and after what you've told me, let alone watching you work, I'm sure you're fully justified. She leans into me and whispers in my ear, so how old are you? Nearly 48, I tell her proudly. She bites my ear. Not old enough. I don't sleep with anyone under 50. I can wait a bit. She laughs. Funny thing is, though, I already know we're going to be good friends, rather than end up in the bed together. However much blowing and glowing she does for me, we'll find out. We'll see.